Mr. Poirot? Did you find something Oakley would like as an anniversary present?
I believe I have, madam. This gold coin should interest him, don't you think?
Oh, this is perfect. Wherever did you find it?
That must remain my secret for now.
Here is your shawl, Mr. Poirot, and thank you.
This is neither that time... Oh, that does not make sense.
Try again, Poirot. It's easy.
Do I look like the fisherman to you, Hastings?
You've done it!
Only a first step, mademoiselle. Take the bird to my bath and wait for me there.
Come along, you poor little thing.
I did not mean to frighten you, Major Barry.
What? Frighten me? A man with 20 years of service to Her Majesty on the frontier? Rubbish!
That fellow is up to something, Poirot. Mark my words.
Something, or someone, had certainly captured his interest. Madame Marshall?
This island is too small. There is nowhere to hide.
If you wish it, I will withdraw.
No, never mind. The famous detective, I believe.
I am at your service, madame.
Are you indeed? That's uncommonly good of you. I understand Kenneth told you about the notes I've received.
I think you should take these notes seriously, madame.
You may be right.
You have had the change of heart, then?
You could say that.
In order to help you, I must ask of you some questions.
Impertinent questions, I should think.
Necessary questions.
Very well, then.
Was it Mr. Marshall who made you decide to speak with me?
Kenneth? No, of course not.
What was it, then?
I've received another threat. Here it is. The day of your punishment is at hand. It sounds rather like things are coming to a head, doesn't it?
I would say so, yes. Do you know of anyone who might wish you harm?
I'm rich, beautiful, and famous. There's a certain delight in those who are not rich or beautiful or famous when someone like me makes a misstep or suffers some tragedy. The newspapers and film magazines thrive on stories of the high and mighty brought low.
All that you say may be true. Yet these notes do not sound as if they were written from jealousy. The underlying emotion feels to me different.
Hatred?
Exact.
It's no secret I get on with men, Monsieur Poirot. I like men. Men like me. Not so the women. If I were to suspect anyone, it would be a woman who believed I had wronged her in some way.
A name would be helpful.
Possibly. But that is all I'm going to say.
Has anyone here on the island aroused your suspicions?
No, not a soul.
This surprises me. I thought actors were keen observers of the human nature.
Do not confuse lack of observation with lack of interest, Monsieur Poirot.
Is there nothing you can tell me that would assist me in helping you?
Tell me this. Are you certain the notes mean my life is in danger?
No, madame, I am not.
Oh, come now, Poirot. Isn't it obvious?
No, Hastings. Nothing is obvious.
I agree with you. Good day.
Hello? Need the sea tractor, do you?
Yes, please?
On me way. There's not so much to do in Leathercombe Bay now that the evacuation's begun. Most places are closed up except the chemists. Mrs. Hughes has to stay because she's the post office too. And lending library if it comes to that. But it's the post that must be seen too. Now that the Smuggler's End is closed, the only pub is the Monk's Hood. Mr. Bagby is trying to stay open long as he can. Once the hotel is closed, there won't be much trade for him. Ready to head back to the island, Mr. Poirot?
Not quite yet.
I know we haven't been properly introduced, but I'm Will Jenks, and I've heard you're a famous detective.
I am the detective, it is true. But famous? No. That is something of an exaggeration.
Steady on, old boy.
Bah! Hastings, you caution me against braggadocio, so I display modesty, and still you find fault.
It's my young lady, Gladys. Maybe you've seen her at the Smuggler's Rest?
Bien, you are a lucky young man.
I do know that, Mr. Poirot. Not many girls in these parts can hold a candle to my Gladys. But lately she's been very distant to me.
She is of the opinion that you are seeing someone else.
But that's nonsense.
Someone she called only the slip of a girl?
But who? She means that Marshall girl what arrived a few days ago. She's been following me about ever since I first took him across on the sea tractor.
Have you encouraged Madame Marshall?
I should hope not. Why, she's just a kid. She'd be in school if she wasn't tossed out of that posh girls' school of hers.
In some ways, yes. Perhaps she is, as you say, still the kid. In others, who can tell? Where has she followed you?
She'll call for the sea tractor. I'll bring her across. Then she'll want to go right back to the island again. Then she's always hanging about the garage here. I think she may be a thief too.
What makes you say that?
Well, my shovel's gone missing, hasn't it? And I first noticed it were gone right after one of her visits here. You believe me, don't you, Mr. Poirot?
Yes, but it is not important that I believe you. It is Gladys who must believe.
I'll wring that Linda Marshall's neck for her.
I will have the talk with Mademoiselle Marshall. In the meantime, there will be no wringing of the necks. Promise me.
I promise. Hands off me tools. Hands off me tool. Hands off me...
The village is practically abandoned.
Yes? Did I keep you waiting? I'm afraid I'm not myself today. I'm ever so distracted trying to solve this mystery.
A mystery? Sounds promising.
What is the nature of your mystery, madame?
Several letters have gone missing over the past few days. I can't understand it. I'm terribly conscientious with the post, I promise you. Someone must be stealing them.
Were the letters valuable?
No. They were important to my customers who were expecting them, perhaps, but none contained money or anything like that. Still, my customers are complaining, and I'm at a loss to explain it. You can borrow that if you like. I'm sorry, sir. You mustn't touch that. I use the test tubes to test for chemicals, and to make up the various solutions and powders I dispense by prescription, and the microscope to look for impurities.
It is a shame not to have access to the equipment, Hastings. It would be handy to be able to test various substances you come across in your investigation.
You can just take that. No charge. May I help you, sir?
No merci.
How may I be of service, sir?
I would like to send a telegram.
Of course, sir. Please just fill out one of those forms on the counter. I'm sorry, sir. You mustn't...
It is a...
May I help you, sir?
Do you have any books on the caring for the wild birds?
I know we have a book on local birds somewhere. Let me see. Oh, here it is. Birding on Devon's Shores by Major Marcus Touchberry. And yes, here's a chapter describing some treatments for various afflictions. Oh dear.
What is it?
Most of the time the author says to just shoot them. There's another chapter of recipes.
How much is the book, please?
50 pence for the week. Thank you for your business, sir.
Au revoir, madame.
May I help you?
Do you have any books suitable as an anniversary present for a wife?
To purchase, you mean, sir? Not many. Let me see. Tell me about your wife, sir. Are you interested in spicing up your relationship a tittle?
No. No spice is needed.
Lady Chatterley's lover is right out, then. What else? Is she fond of murder, sir?
I should hope not.
Too bad. Murder's very popular.
Lucky for you, Poirot. Shouldn't like to see you out of a job.
Keep searching, if you please.
I don't suppose she knits.
But of course she knits. Very much she knits.
Here's a brand new book we just got in. Easy French Knitting Patterns by Eugenie Blottieri. 1 and 6, please.
Huh? £1.06?
Color illustrations cost a bit more.
I need more money, Hastings.
Wire your bank.
Madame, I find myself short of the required funds. I need to wire my bank.
Of course, sir. Just step over to the post office, if you please. Thank you, sir. I'll send it off directly.
Madame, what is the name of this creature?
That's my Chloe. Isn't she a cutiekins?
Delightful.
I say, there's an envelope stuck down there behind the cabinet.
I see it, Hastings. I also see the cat.
see. That will be 5 pence, if you please, sir.
Alas, madame, I am somewhat embarrassed.
Ah, well. I'll just hold the book on reserve for you, shall I? Until your fortunes are restored.
Look at the size of that brute.
Bonjour, Colonel Weston.
Poirot, my old friend. What brings you to Leathercombe Bay?
A short trip to the seaside to replenish their little grey cells.
You stopping at the Smuggler's Rest? Damn shame, old man. I expect to get orders to close up the hotel any day now. This is one of the last coastal areas to be evacuated.
You're in charge of the Home Guard?
Yes, I've set up camp in the Leathercombe Bay police station now that their constables left for Modbury to help there.
Dangerous times, Colonel.
Indeed. I have spotters up and down the stretch of coastline. We've had several sightings of U-boats quite close to shore this month alone.
Mon Dieu! When?
Let's see. August 5th, the 13th, the 16th, and again just last night, the 23rd.
Poirot, those dates don't match at all with Mrs. Castle's calendar.
It is true what you say, Hastings. Have you noticed any suspicious characters about?
Any stranger is suspicious these days. Did you have someone specifically in mind?
I came upon a man who called himself North. He seemed to be trying to gain entry to the Smuggler's End pub.
I have the only key. If he's that thirsty, he'll have to come over here to the mainland or break in. I'll keep a lookout for him. If you could get me a picture, I could send it off to Scotland Yard and see if they can come up with anything.
May I borrow the key to the Smuggler's End? I would like to see if I can discover what interests him.
Be my guest. Regular law enforcement's stretched pretty thin these days.
Is that...
Belongs to Dr. Neasden, a local coroner. He left it here last night. I was going to return it to him.
Say, that would work a treat if we wanted to listen at doors.
May I borrow it?
Practicing medicine without a license, Poirot.
It may be useful. One never knows.
You're welcome to it. I'm sure Neasden has others.
Do you have the file of the Millie Parsons murder case?
Yes, at my office in Kingsbridge. A bad business. I'll have it sent over this afternoon.
Many thanks, Colonel.
All right, Poirot. We've known each other a good many years. You need a stethoscope and the key to the pub? You'll forgive my saying so, but this sounds like a busman's holiday to me. If you are onto something, don't you think you'd better share?
My friend, I have only the suspicions. But yes, I think there may be some cloud hanging over Seadrift Island. A number of items have gone missing. There is tension in the air. It was never my intention to take on a case here. But now, my visit may have become what you say, the busman's holiday.
Well, let me know if you uncover any serious evidence of a crime. I'll be here in Leathercombe Bay tomorrow if you need me.
Many thanks, my friend.
I'm off now, over to Kingsbridge for a district guard meeting.
Farewell. Bonjour, monsieur.
Hello, a new face. Join me, sir. Blatt's the name. Horace Blatt.
Hercule Poirot.
Hairdresser, are ya?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I dunno. Something about your manner.
I am not a dresser of hairs. I am a detective.
A detective?
Oui, it is true. I arrived only last night. You are the avid sailor, Monsieur Blatt.
Used to sail quite a bit as a boy. Not this part of the world. Off the east coast. I could have a first-rate yacht if I liked, but somehow I don't really fancy it. Much rather muck about in that little yawl of mine.
You would rather do the sailing yourself, perhaps? Rather than a crew?
Got it in one, Monsieur Poirot. I like being in control, I suppose. Feeling the boat respond as I put her through her courses. Same with business too, come to think of it. Made me what I am today. You've heard of Blatt's Hardware, I'm sure.
I may have...
Biggest concern of its kind in London.
It is not often one sees this sailboat with a red sail.
Oh, I like a bit of change. No harm in it, I suppose.
None at all. What brings you to Seadrift Island?
Don't really know why I came here. I suppose it sounded romantic. Smuggler's Rest. Makes you think of when you were a boy. Pirates, smuggling, all that.
What do you think of our fellow guests?
Mostly a dried up lot of sticks if you ask me. That Mrs. Marshall. She's the only lively one in the place. I should think Marshall's got his hands full with her. Oh, Redfern's all right too, I guess. He's been out once or twice with me in my yawl. Can't get hold of him now, always hanging about Mrs. Marshall. Afraid I have to run over to Kingsbridge.
You will sail no more this afternoon?
I think not. Saw a bank of fog sitting off the coast when I was out before. Expect it'll roll in before evening. Wouldn't want to get caught in it along this coast. Good day to you, Monsieur Poirot.
Now, why should the fact that you're a detective get his wind up? Poirot!
Hairdresser?
Like to try your hand at a game of darts?
No merci.
Maybe later then.
Perhaps. Does that formidable dog belong to you?
Yes, that's Baskerville. I've had him since he was a small... well, he was never that small.
Not many customers today.
What could you expect? Most of the town has been evacuated. And very few tourists turn up these days.
You enjoy the playing of the darts?
Darts is my game, right enough. It's been a tradition in these parts for centuries. Did you know the famous smuggler Tom Cutter was an expert dartsman?
No, I did not.
Struth. He played at the Smuggler's End almost every night when he wasn't out at sea. A masterful player was old Tom. They say he scored more ton 80s than anyone before or since.
Ton 80s, Hastings.
The highest possible score in a single throw, Poirot. 3 darts, all inside the inner narrow ring of the 20 wedge.
I trust Baskerville is the excellent watchdog.
Oh, hey. We have never had any trouble in here since Baskerville's come of age. Can't trade him to do anything, of course. But with Baskerville, growling works a treat.
Has Baskerville ever bitten anyone?
Well, doesn't need to, does he? All he has to do is growl.
Have you ever seen Tom Cutter's ghost?
No, but I've heard of them that has. If I was lucky enough to meet up with a ghost, I'd challenge him to a game of darts.
And how did he die?
He was hanged by the excise men from the Smuggler's End sign. It's said he walks again every year on the anniversary of his death.
And on what day did he die?
August 24th, that's right. Tonight is the anniversary of Tom Cutter's murder.
Monsieur Cutter lived at the Smuggler's End?
Hey, it was the only lodging on the island until the hotel was built a few years ago.
Do you know anything of Tom Cutter's treasure?
A lot of folk have looked high and low for the treasure, but no one's found so much as a farthing in all these years.
Thank you for the conversation, my friend.
Stop in any time. Maybe we can have a darts match. I'm afraid...
Look at the sign.
Like a ride to the...
Yes, please.
Let's be off then. I expect you've heard about our ghost, the smuggler Tom Cutter. He used to bring in his goods to the cove on Seadrift Island they now call Cutter's Cove. And he was regular at the pub on the island. That's where he met his end, they say, hung by agents of the Crown. There'll be those who'll say he was shot or drowned. But my old gaffer knew the story, and he swore they strung old Tom up from the hotel side.
Hastings, We cannot be hasty. We must find instruction on how to proceed.
Monsieur Poirot, we need to clean the glowly moors quickly. I don't think it will last much longer.
Précisément, we progress.
Now rub the mineral oil onto the bird with this brush. This will make the motor oil easier to remove.
I scrubbed the poor thing with mineral oil. I suppose we're fighting oil with oil.
Eh bien, now I must apply the detergent to the brush. Précisément, we progress.
Now rub the detergent onto the bird with this brush to remove the oils.
We progress. Now we must rinse the bird. I will turn on the taps. We are almost finished, mademoiselle. Dry the bird with these towels. Splendid work, Mademoiselle Musher.
I confess I didn't think we could pull it off, Poirot. Well done all round.
Now, Mademoiselle, all that remains is to return our feathered friend to Sanctuary Cove.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Poirot. You're such a dear.
You're blushing, old fellow.
Nonsense.
Gladys won't be happy when she sees this. perfection. What have we here, Hastings? What have we here, Hastings? What have... What have... That dartboard looks centuries old. I say, Poirot, see the carved letters? 2 N's and an E.
Hello? Need the sea tractor, do you?
Yes, please?
On me way. The Home Guard isn't all old gents doddering around in their great war kit. There's quite a few lads like me who are itching to get into it, but weren't allowed to enlist. We train. We know how to fight.
Mr. Poirot!
She has enough candles in there to light up a church.
I beg your pardon, mademoiselle?
I'm so clumsy.
Mademoiselle, may I speak to you?
Of course.
Gladys is very upset with Will.
What has it got to do with me?
She believes that you are trying to come between them.
Oh, I didn't mean... I didn't know. I have no reason to hurt either one of them. I was just... Garage was a place to get away from the island.
Would you tell that to Gladys? I believe it would ease her mind.
Of course, of course. Thank you for telling me.
Are there any telegrams for me?
I'll just check. Of course, sir. May I help you?
Do you have any books suitable as an anniversary present for a wife?
Here's a brand new book we just got in. Easy French Knitting Patterns by Eugenie Blottieri. 1 and 6, please.
Au revoir, madame.
Let's see. That will be 5 pence, if you please, sir. Thank you for your business, sir.
Like a rock.
Yes, please.
Let's be off. There's lots of talk of Tom Cutter's treasure. It's said to still be buried on the island somewhere. Jewels and gold and all the usual in a chest. When I was younger, me mates and I would search for it. We were convinced it was up on that hill on the western side of the island. The way the story goes, Tom Cutter would spend hours up there just looking out over the sea. We never found so much as a single coin, though.
Monsieur Gardner, do you think your wife would like this book?
Easy French knitting patterns. Poirot, you're a genius.
And so, Hastings, we come to the third act of my story. You have spread your investigations beyond the island to the town of Leathercombe Bay. This is most excellent. You have met the rest of our cast and seen how a favor performed can earn a favor in return. Even now, I suspect certain suggestions present themselves to you.
It's obvious there was more than one mystery on Seadrift Island. In fact, almost everyone seemed to have something to hide.
Précisément. Keep that in mind. Few cases are so neat and tidy as to have only one person up to no good. You must first dispose of the red herrings before the fox he can be treed.
What next, Poirot?
Night has fallen on Seadrift Island, and with it the fog has crept in from the sea. And this is the night the ghost of Tom Cutter is said to walk. Remember the other 2 vignettes I shared with you as well. A murder of a girl. A ritual. As before, if you find yourself unable to progress, I will assist with the magic of the Finger of Suspicion.
Ah, yes. Time now for a third clue to its secret.
The third clue? It is desk.
Power? Lamp? The lamp on the desk, of course. The Finger of Suspicion must be powered somehow by the desk lamp.
Hastings, answer the door like a good fellow.
Poirot, what the bloody hell is going on?
I have spoken to Madame Marshall.
Yes, I understand she gave you the third note. She told me.
I will begin a search for the typewriter on which the notes were written.
There can't be many typewriters on the island.
One that has been stolen from Mademoiselle Darnley.
The devil you say.
And yours?
But see here, something very precious to me has been stolen.
Indeed? And what has been stolen?
A photograph of Arlena, the only one I carry with me. It was taken sometime this afternoon from my room.
The door to your room was unlocked or forced?
It was locked. But hang it all, the balcony door was not. Poirot, that photograph means a great deal to me. You must find it.
You see how I was plagued at every turn, Hastings? With the investigations I would under ordinary circumstances reject out of hand? Yet on Seadrift Island everything, even the smallest bother, was connected, and therefore could not be ignored. I will see what I can do, Captain Marshall.
This holiday is a nightmare.
I fear the nightmare it only begins.
I think this room belongs to Major Barry.
Bravo, Hastings! You have solved one crime at least.
Here now, what do you think you're doing?
Retrieving some stolen property.
What? What do you mean?
This afternoon we see you are spying upon Madame Marshall. Her photograph goes missing. Your expressed admiration for beautiful women is more of an obsession with Arlena Marshall, is it not?
How dare you?
Blast her if you will. The proof was beneath your pillow.
What do you intend to do now?
I will let Captain Marshall decide what is to be done with you.
Marshall has a reputation for hard dealing in the city.
Monsieur Bagby has the dog? Baskerville?
The Great Dane? Yes, I've seen him snoring on the hearth in the monk's hood.
Do you think you could train him?
Oh, I expect so. To do what?
There is a cat in the Leathercombe Bay post office. That will do quite well. The door is locked. No, no. Quite secure. The door. Latched. No, no. The door, it will not budge. The door. Latched tight. No, no. The door, it is... quite securely locked. That is not good. Latched tight on the inside. The door. The door is...
Je vous ai battu. Je vous casse, je vous maudis. Je vous ai battu, je vous casse, je vous maudis. Je vous ai battu, je vous casse, je vous maudis.
Sounds like Miss Marshall is doing her French lessons.
If that is true, Hastings, they are the most unusual French lessons. She says, I beat you, I break you, I curse you.
I say that's a bit rum.
Latched. The door. The door is locked.
It's why we came here. Our hopes and dreams. Our future. Gone. Why do you keep telling me to leave it?
I know you, Oakley, darling. I know your temper.
There must be some justice in this world.
There is, darling. In the end, justice will win out.
Oh, that does not make sense. The sample does not match the note.
Hello, Mr. Poirot.
Monsieur Redfern, may I join you?
If you like.
I think that you enjoy life.
Indeed I do. And why not?
Why not indeed? I make you my felicitation on the fact.
Well, thanks.
May I offer you the piece of advice?
Please.
A very wise friend of mine in the police force said to me years ago, Hercule, my friend, if you would know tranquility, avoid women.
I'm afraid it's a bit late for that. I'm married, you know.
Your wife, she is a very charming woman. Very accomplished. She is, I think, very fond of you also.
I'm very fond of her.
I am delighted to hear it.
Look here, Monsieur Poirot. What are you getting at?
Les femmes? I know something of them.
Do you?
One can be a pleasure. More than that, are capable of complicating life. And the English, oh, they conduct their affairs so... Oh, they baffle Poirot. Monsieur Redfern, I stated to you plainly. If it was necessary for you to come here, why in the name of heaven did you bring your wife?
I don't know what you mean.
You know perfectly. I am not so foolish as to argue with an infatuated man. I utter only the word of caution.
You've been listening to these damned scandalmongers. Nothing to do but make up lies all day. Just because a woman's good-looking, they're down on her like harpies. It's pure jealousy, nothing more.
Are you really as young as all that?
I see. You were trying to defuse the situation before it explodes.
Exact, Hastings. I could see the current circling around Elena Marshall. Not knowing from what direction the danger would come, or whom it would be directed toward, it was all I could do.
RD, I say, Poirot. I'll wager this is Miss Darnley's typewriter.
Beyond a doubt, you are correct. After we test it against the notes, we will return it to her. The sample does not match the note.
Mr. Poirot, you dear, dear man. We've confessed all to one another. We both pledged never to forget an anniversary, haven't we, Oakley?
Yes, darling.
And we'd like to thank you for your efforts on behalf of our anniversary, isn't that right, Oakley?
Yes, darling.
I love my knitting book.
And I'm equally delighted with my coin, more than you can know.
You chose Seadrift Island to hunt for the treasure, did you not?
I confess, I wanted to keep the search low-key, but you deserve the truth.
Is that coin then a part of the treasure, do you think?
You did find it on the island, then? Didn't I tell you so, Carrie?
Yes, darling, you did.
What can you tell me about the coin?
A 1689 gold guinea, in fine condition. The period is right. Very well could be part of the treasure. Have you found it?
Unfortunately, no. That coin only.
But we're going to find it.
I'm convinced the island summit is the starting point. Where do you go from there? If Carter left a clue, it's bound to be somewhere in the smuggler's end.
I thank you again for the shawl most marvelous.
I'm so pleased you like it. May you get good use from it.
He already has.
I will not interrupt your celebration further. Hastings, allow them to enjoy their anniversary in peace.
Of course, old man. Sorry.
Good evening, Madame Redfern.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Poirot.
Is there anything I can do?
No. No, there is not. Do you know what I'm most sick of in this place? Pity. Do you think I can't see? All the time people are saying, poor Mrs. Redfern, that poor little woman. I'm not little. I'm tall. They say little because they're sorry for me, and I can't bear it.
Madame, the Alena Marshals of this world do not count.
Nonsense.
I assure you it is true. The Dominion is of the moment and for the moment. To count, really and truly to matter, a woman must have goodness or brains. The Alena Marshals are the ones to be pitied. Your husband loves you, madame. I know it.
You can't know it.
Yes, I know it. I have seen him looking at you.
I can't bear it. I can't bear it.
Patience, only patience is required. I have obtained for you another sketch pad.
That's very kind of you.
It is a small thing, madame, I realize.
No, really, Monsieur Poirot. 'Tis very thoughtful. It's all right. I'm better now. You are a very kind man, Monsieur Poirot. Thank you.
heavens, Poirot! It's the ghost of Tom Cutter!
Steady, my friend. We must keep our wits about us. We must follow. Hastings, downstairs, to the cellar.
Vanished into thin air. Wet footprints in the dirt floor of the cellar.
What have we here, Hastings?
Someone's been careless leaving a perfectly good shovel lying about.
Very well, Hastings. If you insist, we shall listen for a moment.
I'm crazy about you. Crazy. You drive me mad. You do care a little. Do you care?
Oh, of course, Patrick, darling. I adore you. You know that. Let me show you how much.
And we have listened quite enough, Hastings.
Filthy night, eh, Poirot?
It is that. Oui, Captain Marshall.
Any luck finding Arlena's photograph?
I have recovered the photograph.
You're a bloody marvel, I'll give you that. Who had it? Where was it?
An overzealous admirer of Mrs. Marshall took it.
Stolen by the writer of those damn threatening notes.
You may rest assured that is not the case. It was a lapse in judgment, to be sure, but no harm was intended.
Very well. I'll accept your request, even if I don't quite understand it. If there's anything I can do in return...
It is kind of you to offer, and indeed there may be something.
Name it.
Here is your chance, Hastings. Use their little graces. What do your deductions suggest to you would be the question most important? Your daughter had some difficulty at school, I believe?
Well, what if she did? What has it got to do with you?
Was the school Mrs. Porter's school for the young ladies?
Yes, if you must know. But I fail to see what that could possibly have to do with anything. Thank you for the photograph. If you'll excuse me.
Well done, Hastings. A deduction worthy of Poirot. This is neither their time nor their place.
Ah, Mr. Poirot.
Miss Brewster? An unusual place to find the ballet teacher?
Not entirely. My past seems to still be haunting me.
The girl you mentioned who died?
Yes, Mr. Poirot, I need your help.
If it is in my power.
She was a student of mine in Brixham. A number of students from a nearby girls' school would come to us for ballet instruction. Millie Parsons was one of those. Returning to the school from a ballet class, she was attacked and strangled to death. I want you to find her killer.
What a coincidence, Poirot. No sooner do we begin to look into the Parsons girl's murder when we are asked to do just that.
Coincidence, Hastings? Poirot does not trust such coincidences. Do you know the significance of the pole and the circle?
I think perhaps. Do you?
I have my suspicions, mademoiselle.
You do?
The chicken feathers stained with blood, Hastings? You speak of the voodoo, do you not?
My God, I hoped I was wrong. How can it be here?
Millie Parsons was the girl who died several months ago?
Yes, in May. The police investigated. At one point, the rector of the church was suspected, but nothing was ever proved.
Do you recall the name of this man?
I don't think I ever knew it. I couldn't bring myself to follow the investigation. The details, it was just far too painful.
What was the name of the school where Millie Parsons was a student?
Miss Porter's School for Young Ladies. It was on the other side of a small wood, less than half a mile away from our ballet academy.
Where have you encountered voodoo before?
Understand I don't believe in it.
But at the girls' school Millie Parsons attended, there was a math instructor named Gideon Fell. He left the school under some sort of cloud a few weeks after Millie died, and with only days left in the term. It had something to do with voodoo.
He was a practitioner?
I know no more than that, I'm afraid.
Do you believe in the power of voodoo, Mademoiselle Brewster?
Me? No, of course not. Superstitious nonsense. But if one does believe in something like that, well, it can come to have an enormous power over one. Don't you agree?
Certainement.
I should be getting back. Please let me know if you learn anything about Millie.
I shall do so, mademoiselle. You have my word.
Poirot, how can you investigate a case that happened months ago and miles away from here?
Colonel Weston will be able to request the files.
Voodoo in South Devon? A rum business.
As you say. A new day, Hastings, August 25th, the day that murder came to Seadrift Island. What have we learned? Much of the mystery seems to swirl around Mrs. Marshall, or Alena Stewart as her fans call her. You agree?
Yes, that seems clear.
And two mysteries are solved. The photograph is found beneath Major Barry's pillow. The typewriter of the most charming Mademoiselle Darnley is discovered beneath the bed of the Redferns. Christine Redfern has reason to send such notes, perhaps. Her husband's attentions to Mademoiselle Stewart are obvious to all. At last, there is the murder unsolved of Millie Parsons. Why does Mademoiselle Brewster ask Poirot to take it up? Several of the guests at the Smuggler's Rest Hotel appear to have in common Brixham, the place where she died. Mademoiselle Brewster, Stephen Lane, the former vicar, even Mademoiselle Linda Marshall, who it now appears was a student at Millie's school.
Yes, Miss Porter's school for young ladies. What happened there?
Voodoo rituals? An anthropology teacher awakens in fear to the pounding of the pagan drums?
Voodoo? Nonsense, if you ask me.
Perhaps. But as Miss Darnley said, not nonsense to those who believe. And do not forget Tom Cutter's ghost. We saw.
I admit that gave me a turn. But ghosts? Voodoo? Poirot, even for you, this case has elements of the sensational. No sensible person could credit.
Perhaps. But I will give you the very important clue. Think on the nature of Alena Stewart. Watch as the investigation proceeds, Hastings. Until we can understand fully and completely exactly the kind of person Alena Stewart was, we shall not be able to see clearly the kind of person who took her life. As before, if you find yourself unable to progress, I will assist with the magic of the Finger of Suspicion.
Ah yes. Time now for a fourth clue to its secret.
The clue is drawer.
Power, lamp, desk, drawer. Do I search the drawer for a switch, perhaps? Or is it something more subtle?
I say no more. When you are ready, my friend, we will return to Seadrift Island. It is a morning of sunshine, warm breezes, and a murder most foul.
Morning, Monsieur Poirot. Any more thoughts about what we found in the ruins?
Poirot always has the thoughts, Monsieur Lane. Who can tell which will prove to be most significant? What are your plans for this morning?
I've heard there's a fine church in these parts, St. Patrick in the Coombe. I'm going to try and track it down.
What illness forced you to leave your position?
It was... I confess it was nerves, Monsieur Poirot.
I did not mean to intrude.
No, it's quite all right. No sense in my hiding the fact. Women, they are so often at the source of evil.
Do you think so?
Man alive, don't you feel it in the air? All around you. We spoke of it yesterday at the ruins. The presence of evil.
Oui, Monsieur Lane, I feel it. I am able to assist you in your search, I think.
Oh?
I found this pamphlet at the establishment of Mrs. Hughes in Leathercombe Bay.
Oh, this is marvelous. And there's a map and everything. Let's see, it'll make a fine hike over the moors, too. Thank you so much.
Monsieur Lane, I wonder if I may ask you the questions somewhat painful.
Your kind gift has lifted my spirits considerably. I will answer if I can.
Your church was near Brixham, I believe.
Oh, yes, I had a small living there. Why?
Are you familiar with Mrs. Potter's School for Young Ladies?
Why, oh, yes, Miss Potter herself and several of the girls attended my church. Not as many as I would have liked, but some.
Do you recall the Conservatoire de Dance near there?
Oh, yes, Miss Brewster, who is stopping here, was an instructor there.
Does the name Millie Parsons mean anything to you?
The murder. Yes, it caused quite a sensation. A teacher at Miss Porter's was accused. No charges were brought. Simply the ruin of a man's reputation. He may have been misguided, even driven. But the Parsons girl brought it upon herself. Of that, I am convinced. And then, only a few weeks later, another murder. They must have been connected. And of that second crime, he was wholly innocent, I have no doubt. So what he said in a moment of weakness...
What did this teacher say to you?
I may no longer be of the cloth, Mr. Poirot, but I will keep the confidences learnt while I was still in God's service.
Even if it allows a murderer to go free?
Please! God must judge, not I.
Tell me of the second crime.
It received quite a bit of press at the time. Alice Corrigan was the name. Strangled, as was the Parsons girl. The husband was suspected, but again, no arrest was ever made. I'm convinced the two crimes were the work of one man.
And the motive?
Women are at the heart of many tragedies.
In this case, they were the victims of tragedy.
Can you doubt? They brought it upon themselves, through fornication, adultery, and godlessness.
It is my nature to doubt, Monsieur Lane.
Yes, of course. You're a detective. Still, I would think your experience would have paid witness to the truth of my words. I may have misunderstood and unburdened myself too freely. I must be off if I hope to reach the church and be back before it gets too late. Thank you again for the information.
Fellow is right round the bend, Poirot. He practically admitted he knew Millie Parsons' killer, yet did nothing because she was a girl, and somehow deserved it? That's monstrous.
It is true he appears to be quite selective when it comes to forgiveness and compassion. Yet it may very well be that decision to keep silent caused his breakdown. His pain runs deep, and the struggle, it continues. There may be hope for him still. Mademoiselle, if I may have a moment of your time?
I only have a few minutes, Monsieur Poirot. I'm meeting Mrs. Redfern at Sanctuary Cove at 10:30.
I will come straight to the point, mademoiselle. You were a student at Miss Potter's School for Young Ladies in Brixham, were you not?
I was. I'm not anymore, though.
Millie Parsons was a classmate of yours?
Yes.
A close friend?
Nah, not really. We knew her, my friends and I, to speak to. She seemed a harmless sort. Rather sweet, actually.
Why did you leave school?
Monsieur Poirot, I like you. but I'm not sure you have the right to ask me that question.
Did you know an instructor named Gideon Fell?
Yes, we had him for anthropology.
He was a poor teacher?
He was all right, I guess. I am very interested in anthropology. That helped, I suppose.
What most interested you in the class?
Superstition. Much of what we call superstition has a basis in fact. Religious practices and so on.
You did not like him?
At first, he seemed all right. He took several of us to the picture show to see a horror film called Curse of the Islands.
The film, it was frightening to you?
A bit, I suppose. But I found it quite interesting, actually. But then he started acting strangely towards some of the girls. He was creepy. Always making comments to girls when he thought no one could hear. Complimenting them on how they looked.
This interest, it was more than politeness?
A lot more.
Was he interested in Millie Parsons?
She told me he had followed her once in the woods. He grabbed her wrist. When she tried to break away, he said how much he liked her hair and her frock. She broke away and threatened to tell Miss Porter. She said he looked at her with his face all twisted up. It was horrible, she said.
Millie told Miss Porter of this incident?
No. One of the other girls had already complained and she did nothing. She accused the girl of trying to make trouble for Mr. Fell because he gave her bad marks.
After Millie's death, you said nothing of Mr. Fell?
I did. The police looked into it. They said he had an alibi. But I knew. My friends and I knew. You don't believe me, do you?
Au contraire, I have known many alibis that seemed unbreakable, only to shatter as easily as glass when the right force was applied.
He did it, Monsieur Poirot. He killed Millie. I have to change into my swimming costume now. Will you excuse me?
Of course. Thank you for speaking with me.
I say, Poirot, do you think you can break this Fell character's alibi?
If I can, Hastings, Miss Brewster and the police will have their answer. The door is locked, but I can hear the voices from within. That is not...
Are you going for a swim?
Of course. It's a beautiful day.
With her?
Don't, for goodness sake, get into the habit of being jealous of every pretty woman we come across.
She's not just any pretty woman. She's different. She's a bad lot. Yes, she is. She'll do you harm, Patrick. Please, give it up. Let's go away from here.
Don't be ridiculous, Christine.
Monsieur Poirot?
Good morning, Madame Marshall. I regret...
I wouldn't worry myself if I were you. In fact, I'd like you to forget about them.
You have learned the identity of the author?
Yes. And if there's any further bother, I will deal with it myself. Is that clear?
That could be dangerous. An argument will not assist us, Hastings. Better to comply. I will do as you ask. That is a scent most charming that you wear.
Thank you. You're very kind. It's an expensive indulgence, especially for the beach. But I like it so.
You are going for the swim?
No, no. I wanted to use a float.
Use this one with my compliments.
You won't be using it.
No, I am certain of that.
Do something for me, will you?
Anything. Hastings, do not become smitten with this woman. She is charming, yes, but it will cloud your ability to investigate.
Sorry, Poirot. She's just so damned attractive.
Don't tell anyone where I am. Everyone will follow me about so. I just want for once to be alone.
She wants to be alone? I don't believe that for a minute.
Very good, Hastings. You read her character well. I concur. She has the rendezvous, I think. But with whom?
Morning, Poirot. Seen my wife anywhere about?
Has Madame risen so early?
Well, she's not in her room. Lovely day. Think I'll have a bathe right away. Got a lot of typing to do this morning.
Morning, Marshal.
You look for Madame Redfern?
Christine is off sketching somewhere.
I say, it's that North chap again.
What course of action do you suggest, Hastings?
Ask Mrs. Redfern to make a sketch of him.
An excellent idea, my friend. Then Colonel Weston can send a picture to Scotland Yard for identification. Yes, please.
On me way. Mr. Poirot, I wanted to thank you for helping clear up the misunderstanding between Gladys and me. How she could think I'd ever be interested in that schoolgirl is beyond me. I can't help it if some foolish child decides on her own to start hanging about the garage. I know it sounds silly, but I think she was only doing it because she wanted to pinch my shovel.
The village is practically abandoned. A regulation dartboard.
Fancy a short games?
No, merci.
Oh, as you like.
A regular...
Fancy a
No, merci.
Oh, as you like.
Morning, Poirot.
Major, you are here already?
I've already worked with the dog. He'll do as I say. Are you ready?
Not quite yet.
Let me know when you are.
Morning, sir. I was just off to do an errand. Say, you don't happen to know anything about motor cars, do you?
Yes, I do. Hastings, what is this you make me say? I know nothing of motor cars.
I do, Poirot. Let's see what he's on about.
What would you like to know?
Major Barry's car needs its points cleaned. He wants it as soon as possible, but I have to test the motor on the sea tractor. It's been a bit dodgy lately. I wouldn't want to strand anyone on the island. I'd be in your debt if you could help me out.
The young scoundrel asks such a thing of the world's greatest detective?
Hang on, Poirot. It wouldn't hurt to have a bright lad like Jenks on our side.
I see no points on the car of Major Barry. And the motor cars, they are filthy.
Nonsense. You'd think you'd never heard of soap. I've never cleaned points myself, but all we need are some instructions. The current issue of Motor Enthusiast magazine has an exceptionally clear article on the subject.
Poirot does not drive.
It isn't fair.
In the interest of... Out!
It's a sliver of metal.
I've already worked with the dog. He'll do as I say. Are you ready?
Not quite yet, me.
Let me know when you are.
Hello, Mr. Poirot. Not like you to look so out of sorts.
Mr. Bagby, where would you look for Tom Cutter's treasure?
If it's there, my guess would be Cutter's Cave. But folk have tried for centuries to find that treasure with nothing to show for it. Foolish to try, if you ask me.
Good day to you, Monsieur Bagby.
If you'd like a game of darts, just ask.
Corned beef sandwich and well past its prime by the smell of it.
I've already...
Proceed, Major.
Stand at attention, Baskerville. Heel.
It's a miracle, that is.
Sit. Easy as anything to train a dog. You just know how to talk to them.
Your skill is extraordinary, Major. Now I will open the door. Command him to enter, and we will let nature take its course.
Ready when you are, Poirot. Enter Baskerville. Baskerville, enter the shop. He won't budge, Poirot. Can't say what the trouble is. Have you any way to lure him inside?
Hastings, do you have anything that might attract Baskerville? That is exactly as Poirot was thinking, Hastings.
Was that poor Baskerville again? You'd think he'd learn not to come round here anymore. How may I be of service?
I would like to...
Of course, sir.
It would appear...
Well, yes, we are short-staffed at the moment, so I am indeed a temporary factotum of sorts. Fortunately, the customers are as scarce as the help. I'm sorry, sir. You must...
It is a shame not to have access...
May I help you?
No, merci.
How may I be...
I would like to send a...
Of course, sir.
We have not... Voila, Madame Hughes. The case of the missing post is solved.
Why, do you mean to say my dear little Chloe knocked those letters back there by accident?
That your cat pushed them there to have the room for the catnap is fact. Whether it was an accident, it is not for Poirot to say.
Oh, Mr. Poirot, how can I ever thank you?
It is my pleasure to assist you, madame. However, there is a kindness you can do Poirot in return.
What is it?
Choose wisely, Hastings. I could make good use of your testing equipment. Excellent, Hastings. You are sharpening the detective instincts.
I'm not sure. You are a detective.
Colonel Weston will vouch for me.
Ah, well then. Of course you can. I'm happy to be of service, I'm sure.
Merci, madame. You do the great service for Poirot. The tablets of Monsieur Lane are most certainly Troyenal.
Hello, Poirot. Enjoying your holidays?
I will let you be the judge of that, my friend. I have several things to discuss with you.
Carry on.
Mrs. Marshall has been receiving threatening messages.
The devil, you say? From whom?
That is yet unclear. I would like to compare them to the type on your machine.
You think I've been sending them?
I must try every possibility, my friend, however remote.
Be my guest.
There, you see, Hastings, the E, the M, and the H. This is the typewriter used to write the threatening notes beyond any doubt. There is no doubt. The notes were typed on this machine.
But that's impossible.
No one visits you here?
Well, of course. Many people do. In addition to my regular police duties, there's the Home Guard, the evacuation. Hang on.
You have thought of something?
I'd hate for it to be true. That girl at the hotel. She popped in with all sorts of questions about the evacuation. I think she wanted to be told the hotel was being closed. I expect the order any day now, by the way.
Was it Linda Marshall?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it was. Bit nasty, that. Writing threatening messages to her own stepmother.
Very nasty indeed. Especially since she apparently also stole Mademoiselle Darnley's typewriter and hid it in Christine Redfern's room to incriminate her. Well done, Hastings. I see the little grey cells are hard at work. Is Mrs. Castle a member of the Home Guard?
Yes, she volunteered, although she hasn't been of much use.
Why do you say that?
The sightings of U-boats don't match what my other watchers are reporting. I'm not sure she's truly watching at all.
I am afraid it is worse than that. She has a German radio, a code book, and a signal lantern in her safe.
Good God, a fifth columnist here in Leathercombe Bay? I'll have her arrested immediately.
Please do not as yet. If you watch her, she may lead you to her associates.
Ah, you're right. I'll have her followed if she leaves the island.
Excellent! What can you tell me of Alice Corrigan's murder case?
Nasty bit of work. Her husband had a motive, but an unbreakable alibi as well. Not my district, but I have some notes at my office.
Could you obtain for me the summary of the report?
I'll have it sent over from Kingsbridge this afternoon.
Did the report on the Millie Parsons case arrive?
Yes, here it is. I was in London through most of it, in Home Guard and evacuation meetings. I hope to have a look at it again once things quiet down. If they quiet down, that is.
Ah, merci. I will read as I make my notes. Hastings, look over these notes of the alibi of the teacher Gideon Fell. Tell me what you see.
Something about the film? Fell was alone there for 2 hours.
What is the most important fact concerning that film and Fell's alibi?
The title.
Curse of the Islands? And why is it significant?
Linda Marshall told us Fell took her and some friends to see it.
And this tells you?
He knew the story already.
And the theater ticket he had in his possession for the 12th of April?
He bought the ticket, but he never went in.
You have it, my friend. Well done. Colonel?
Yes?
The Millie Parsons affair. This alibi of the teacher, Gideon Fell. It does not hold the liquid.
Water, Poirot.
It does not hold its water.
Oh?
There are witnesses. Girls at their school that will tell you that Monsieur Fell took them to see Curse of the Islands before that night.
You don't say.
Fell, he leaves the restaurant at 7:40. He buys the ticket at the theater nearby, a matter of a few moments only. Then he walks to the corpse. He is there shortly before 15 minutes to 9, The time Millie Parsons' ballet class, it is finished. He waits. The girl arrives. The murder, it is done. He walks back to the movie theater in time to see the end upon the screen.
By Jove, Poirot, you're astounding.
I had the information you lacked, my friend. That is all.
I need to write up a report on this at once. Could we talk later?
Can't say I see much point in hanging on to a magnetic sliver of metal, but you never know.
As you say, Hastings, you'll never know. Without error, mon ami. Your instincts are well honed, mon ami. The puzzle, it is one piece closer to completion.
Well done, old man.
There is not enough soap in all of Devon to restore my hands.
sir. Got the tractor motor purring like a kitten. Any luck with Major Barry's automobile?
Why, yes. Against all expectation, I have cleaned the tips with much success.
Beg your pardon?
Points.
And the points as well.
Smashing. Much obliged, sir. Like a...
Yes, please.
Let's be off then. I've been looking after the hotel garage and driving the sea tractor for almost 5 years now. Motor cars are my passion. I keep the guests' motors clean and full of petrol. I also tend to any repairs they might need as well. Just look at that Major Barry's motor now. A 1938 Triumph Dolomite. That's a beautiful piece of British style and manufacturing. I can't think but what the war effort will take for great designers to work on tanks and whatnot.
N20, E15, and 19. Poirot, they could be a map. The number of paces north, east, and north again.
And their starting point?
Albert Bagby at the Monk's Hood Inn. told you that Tom Carter would spend hours on the island's summit. It was his favorite spot on the island. And we found Gardner poking about up there as well. I'll bet he's come to the same conclusion I have. This is a map to Tom Carter's treasure.
Monsieur Poirot, thank you again for the sketch pad.
It is my pleasure, madame.
I intend to make good use of it today.
Madame, do you have the time to make this small sketch for Poirot?
Why? I'd be delighted to. It's the least I can do.
There is a man at the landing of the sea tractor. Do you think you could make the portrait of him?
I don't see why not. I've a little time before Linda will be ready.
And madame, if you could contrive to do so without his knowledge, what will you sketch today?
I'm meeting Linda at Sanctuary Cove at 10:30. While she swims, I will sketch her Gillimores for her.
You are kind to take an interest in her.
She's having a rough time of it, I'm afraid.
I believe you are correct. A friend now will be of great help, I think.
Oh, I must say it's rather exciting having a detective on holiday.
Monsieur Poirot, any luck with finding my typewriter?
Oui, mademoiselle. This is it not?
Yes, indeed. Wherever did you find it?
I would rather not say at present.
You are being most mysterious.
It is my nature to be mysterious, I am afraid.
Well, I'm happy to have it back. Thank you. Please let me know if there is any way I can repay you.
I will? Where are you off to, may I ask?
The Ledgers to read my book. It's a rather good thriller by Graham Greene. Do you know his work?
Bien. He is an excellent writer.
Then I've a tennis date with Ken, Mr. Marshall, Mrs. Redfern, and Mr. Gardner at 12. I'll just put this typewriter in my room, then I'm off.
Enjoy your day, mademoiselle.
And you, Monsieur Poirot. And thanks again.
North 20, east 19, then north 15. Let's see where we end up, shall we?
1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12, 13, 18, 19, 20. Eh bien. Now east. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12. Hastings. 3 more steps will put me in the center of the... What did you call it?
The ad service court. Poirot, something is buried there. That's why the ground keeps settling. Dig! Dig!
Against my better judgment?
A treasure chest! Oh, that's...
Yes, Hastings. We've uncovered the spot where the monks, they dumped their old brandy casks. Congratulations.
I was so sure.
I suggest another visit to Monsieur Bagby, if you insist on pursuing this.
Good idea, old fellow. First you'd better finish filling in the hole and raking the tennis court.
From the tennis court to Cutter's Cove, it is 20 minutes. From the monastery ruins to Cutter's Cove, it is 12 minutes. This is neither the time nor the place. Let her enjoy. Madame Redfern,
Oh, Monsieur Poirot, I have the sketch you asked me for.
Merci, madame. Let her enjoy the...
Please leave.
From Sanctuary Cove to Cutter's Cove, it is 15 minutes. From Sanctuary Cove... This is neither the... What are you... There is no need. From the ledges to Cutter's Cove, it is 6 minutes. From the bathing beach to Cutter's Cove via the path, it is 18 minutes.
Beach is certainly empty this morning.
I believe Captain Marshall will be swimming shortly.
Everyone else off on excursions, I expect. Major Barry wanted to go into Knightsbridge if his car was fixed.
The Major, he has business in Kingsbridge?
Oh, he was complaining of the lack of privacy when using the phone in Leathercombe Bay post office. I can't imagine what he has to be so secretive about. Can you, Oakley?
No, darling.
You do not take the excursion?
I was saying to Mr. Gardner only this morning, we simply must make an excursion to Dartmoor. It's quite near and the associations are all so romantic, aren't they, Oakley?
Yes, darling. I've always wanted to visit the Dartmoor prison.
You do not knit at the ledges this morning?
No, Miss Darnley was there before us and didn't seem to be in the mood for chatting. So we came here. Didn't want to disturb her, did we, Oakley?
No, darling.
The motor car it is repaired.
Oh? Isn't that splendid, Oakley?
Yes, darling.
Oakley, I don't believe I've got that second shade of purple wool. It's in the second drawer of the bureau in our bedroom, or it might be the third.
Yes, darling.
Good morning, Mr. Redfern.
I don't see anything good about it.
Goodness, he's in a mood.
I will not. Ah, Mademoiselle Brewster, you have had a pleasant morning?
Good morning, Mr. Poirot. Well, I was, until somebody chucked something at me from the balcony up there.
Mademoiselle, I have looked into Millie's murder.
And?
I believe I have found the one responsible for her death.
Who was it?
Colonel Weston is having his men follow up on certain facts I placed before him. While I cannot tell you with absolute certainty, nevertheless, the indications are very strong that the one they will question is our man. Every instinct tells me he is the man, and I promise you, he will be brought to justice.
Mr. Poirot, I can't tell you how much this means to me.
She was a good friend to you, young Millie.
Yes, she was. She was an innocent. Mr. Poirot, I can't bear it when the innocent suffer.
You have the good heart, mademoiselle. I am happy I was able to assist you. Something was thrown at you?
I was having my usual morning swim at about 10:30, when all of a sudden, whoosh, something hit the water very near my head.
You do not know what it was, the projectile?
No, I would have swum down for it, but the water's pretty deep here, and my ears won't take the pressure. If you'll excuse me, it's time for my row. The exercise will do me good.
You presume... Your current... I will... I do not think... Does nothing strike